Bender Bunker, your one-stop shop for B-Bender related lessons and videos. And as the title suggests, we are here to help you crank up the dB's with your B-Bender playing. And it doesn't sound like it. That's kind of a mellow backing track we had there. What's the dB's all about? Well, it's not decibels, it's not audio. It's actually trying to incorporate your D string more into the party with your B string. And working those 4 and 2 strings together, and then bringing in the 1st and 3rd string on top of those patterns to give it a little bit more melody and some alternatives here as we go up and down the neck with the 4th and 2nd string patterns you saw me play. So often here in the bunker, we tend to be a lead-oriented channel. I will certainly admit to that, and we probably will again. And that kind of lets us use mostly kind of those top 2 or 3 strings is kind of what we spend most of our time on with the single note leads. Right? Well, this time we've, by anchoring and purposely anchoring for this lesson on the 4th string and then working the patterns from there up, we get more of a chordal structure, as you heard. And we can use these 4 and 2 string patterns up and down the neck to correspond to the backing track, which is an E, A, and back to E. So I'm going to be showing you some 4 and 2 string patterns that are very nice to play along with for E, A, and then back to E. And then we're going to bring the 1st and 3rd string into the party, so all 4 strings will be utilized at some point to give us that nice chordal sound. So if that sounds good to you and you're ready to take that EA party, I'll tell you what, if you need a little bit more convincing, I'll play it here in isolation real quick so you can get a feel for what's ahead. Again, starts in E and then goes to A and back to E. So here we go. So that's what you have ahead of you. If that sounds good to you, grab the Bender, because cranking up the dB lesson begins right now here on the Bender Bunker. All right, as I mentioned in the opening, the song backing track was an E, went to A and back to E. So we're going to take the first section of E here. And again, I'm going to show you the 4 positions of the first pass I'm going to make, which is... So when I say position, that's the 4th and 2nd string together. Without the Bender, it sounds like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's make this, dividing and conquering this a little bit easier. So we're starting with position 1 at the opening. And real quick, I wrote this using a pick. So I know it's easy to do with a pick, but then I switched over to just using my fingers because sometimes I like to hit these notes at the exact same time as I'm about to do with the very opening notes. Those are together. So I'm anchoring my thumb on the D string, and then I'm using my index finger for everything else above it. And so if things sound slightly different than what you're doing with the pick, that's probably why, but it works both ways. Just want to be clear on that. All right, the opening is your middle finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret, that note, and then your B string open. You're going to hit those together, or pick it, start with the 4th string, go over to the open B, and take the Bender up with it. All right, keep the Bender there for a second. Then go ahead and hit your high E string open for a note. That gives you time to take your middle finger, slide it up the 4th string to the 4th fret, and then drop your index finger on the B string 3rd for pattern 2. And we are going to start with the 4th string 4th fret for that note, then jump over to the B string 3rd to let the Bender down with that note. Okay, position 1 to position 2. All right, smooth, it sounds like this. Just don't forget that open high E in position 1 before you move to position 2. Bender's down now. Now we're going to jump up to position 3, which is this. Which honestly, as you can tell, longtime viewers will know, we are now in the official Twang Bender box for E. And that is position 3, my friends. So we just come out of position 2. Okay, so now we're going to do a slight change of fingers. We're taking our ring finger up on the 4th string to the 9th fret, and we're letting our index finger go to the B string 7th. That's position 3. Now when we get there, we're going to start with the 4th string 9th for a note, immediately go over to the B string 7th, hit that and take the Bender up and hold it. Now, The index finger naturally wants to fall on the high E7th as well. That's what we want it to do. So now we're covering the top 2 on the 7th with our index finger. Go ahead and hit the high E7th for a note. Come back to your B string to let the bender down with a note. And then end the twang bender box for E by letting your little finger drop where it already is, the 3rd string 9th for the last note. So we went up. All right, here's 1, 2, 3 in terms of positions. Again, that last note is the 3rd string with my little finger on the 9th. All right, a little bit faster and smoother. Bender's down now. Now we're going to take that position 3, which was, again, my ring finger on the 9th on the 4th string and my index finger on the B string 7th. We're going to take that pattern, position 3, up here for position 4, the last position of this section. So now my ring finger's on 4th string 12th and my index finger is on the B string 10th. So same kind of mentality when we get there is what we just did on position 3. We're going to start with the 4th string 12th for a note, quickly go over to the B string 10th, hit that note and take the bender up. Hold it there. Now, before we cover the high E with our index finger, let's not do that. Let's go ahead and hit that open E string open. So now you just took it up. Come back to the 4th string still there on your 12th with your ring for note. Go back to the high E open again. Then do the B string to let the bender down. So. All right, all 4 positions together. Excuse me, here we go. Down, we just did position 4, which was. We drop back down to position 3. Exactly what you learned with position 3, same fingers as before. So as we come off position 4, we go back to position 3. So now I've got my ring finger back on 4th string 9th, index finger B string 7th, right? Position 3. We drop down, we start with the 4th string 9th for 1 note. That gives us just enough time to pre-bend because we need the bender pre-bent. And then we're going to jump up to the high E open. Then we're going to hit the B string covered by our index finger on the 9th to let the bender down. And then end like we ended before on position 3 with the little finger on the G string 9th. So coming out of position 4, back to position 3, it sounds like this. All right, that's it all together. Let's go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, back to 3. Last part. All right, that's the first pass in the E. All right, so we're going to do the exact E passage that we just learned with the same 1, 2, 3, 4, back to 3, right? There's really only going to be, now that I think about it, really just 2 slight variations to mix things up a little bit. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start exactly with positions 1 and 2 as you just learned them. We're going to go to position 3 exactly as you just learned it. All right, now before what we did is we hit. All we're going to do different this time is we just hit the high E7th once. This time we're going to hit it twice. That's it. That's the only variation. Whereas before you just hit it once. Now we go back up to the position 4, and it was Just one note difference in that sequence. We're still doing exactly the starting, so that's 4th string 12th, hopping over to the B string 10th, bender up. Now before we hit an open high E here, now we're going to do the little finger on the high E 12th for one note. And then that's it, that's the only variation. We hop back up to the 4th string 12th, now the E string's open, hit the B string 10th and let the bender down. And that's the whole passage. It's just that high E on the 12th instead of going open E on the first time that's different. So here's the first way to do it. And here's the variation. That's it. So the only thing that's different about the second passage is when you get to position 3, hitting the high E7 twice. When you get to position 4, high E12 with your little. Now, when we ended before, we hopped back down to position 3. We did the open E string there. So let's do a slight variation just to mix things up. We go back down. We start on the 4th string 9th. We've got the B string 7th already covered for the pattern we know. Pre-bend. Before we did open E, let's do the high E 7th because that's so easy to cover with our index finger. Let's just do that. High E 7th, then the B string, bender down, and G string 9th with the little finger. So that's just one note difference. Instead of doing high E open, we're doing high E7. So the second passage. All right, the two together. Practice those two again. It's basically the same thing with just slight variations when you get positions 3, 4, and back to 3. And they're just one note variations. But I think it's fun to mix things up, give you more to think about, and show you more options. All right. Now we're going to go to the A section and knock that out. All right, let's take the A train and learn the A passage real quick. It's about half the length of the E passage, so no big deal there. Very similar shapes, but I have thrown in a few wrinkles to keep things interesting, as you're about to see. It sounds like this. And like what we've learned before, something they all have in common here is you're always starting pretty much each passage on the root note on the 4th string. The bender's going up once and then coming back down once for each passage. So that's something I've seen they all have in common to make things a little easier to think about. And so we're going to start with your ring finger on the 4th string 14th and then your index finger on the B string 12th. Is that position what I guess we called E4, now we're calling this A1. It's just up 2. Okay, as you would expect, we're going to start with the 4th string 14th for a note, hop over to the B string 12th and take the bender up. Hold it there. Now we're going to use our little finger to go on the high E 14th for a note. Come back to your root note, 4th string 14th. Go back to the high E, but take your little finger off, do it open. And then hit the B string 12th and let it down. And that's A position 1. Bender up, bender's now down. Okay, now we're going to drop this exact 4-2 position down 2. So now you've got your ring finger on the 4th string 12th and your index finger on the B string 10th. And it's going to sound like this. This is going to introduce a new little wrinkle. So what we're doing here is we're going to start on the 4th string as you would expect. So you've got 4th string 12th for a note, hop over to the B string 10th to take up the bender. When you get to the top there, you're going to hit the high E open. Then you're going to drop, we haven't done this before, we're going to drop our little finger down on the B string 12th, because it's already right there, and make that the note to take the bender down with. So we went up with one note and we came down with a different note. I don't think we've done that yet in this lesson. So, and then we also haven't done this in these passages, is I'm going to change the final root note of this passage on the D string. I'm going to drop down with my middle finger to the D string 11th to make that the last note, along with the B string 10th that I never moved my index from. So, high E open, little finger, B string 12th, bender comes down, and then we change down 4th string 11th with the middle finger to make a new position there. That's 4th string 11th, B string 10th, because we never moved our index. Bender up, bender down. Okay, now we've got this new position, right? They're just 1 fret apart on the 4-2 strings. Let's take that position down 2. So now we've got our middle finger on the 4th string 9th and our index fingers anchored on the B string 8th. And when we get there, we're going to do this. So as we've been doing, we start with our 4th string as our first note. We hit that, we hop immediately over to the B string on the 8th to hit that and take the bender up. When we get to the top, we're going to use our ring finger to do 1 note on the high E 9th. Come back to your root note there on the 4th string 9th. Go back, you guessed it, high E open this time. And then we go to the B string 8th to let it down. Some 3 passages together. Down once in each of those 3 passages. So we've got this shape, we just finished that. Now we're going back to the shape that we've been doing where they're 1 more fret apart. So you're now switching back to your ring finger to anchor on the 4th string 7th, and you're automatically, because of what we've been doing, we've kind of imprinted ourselves to make our our index finger to go on the B string and down there on the 5th, but we're not going to do that quite yet. We're going to get there, just not right away, and this is one of the variations I spoke of. So when we get down to this position with your ring finger on the 4th string 7th, you're going to start there, then you're going to hop over to the B string open to take the bender up. So now you're up on the bender, go ahead and hit the high E open next to it. Now drop your index finger on the B string 5th to note that and let the bender down. So you're going up with the open B string and you're coming down with your index finger on the 5th fret. High E open next to it, then drop your index on the 5th. All right, so let's put those 4 passages together. Here we go. That's your A section. See, not too hard to get through. So let's take one of the E's and turn it into an A. Here we go. That's it. You know how to crank up the dB's now. Hopefully this gives you some ideas on how to incorporate the 4th string, sometimes one of the more neglected strings in the bender passages, if you ask me. And it always gets the party started. If you notice, we've always kind of started our first note of each passage with the D string. Even when you're doing traditional pedal steel stuff, you're starting with the 4th string. So, that's the 4th string sometimes is very seldom used, but sometimes you can really work it into these dB patterns, and that's what I wanted to stress in this lesson. So as always, take the parts you like, make them your own, switch the keys on them, just kind of keep the mentality of that dB that we're trying to get across here. That's all I got for you this time. It's a long lesson. I hope you were able to stick it out. I'd appreciate it if you did. And we're going to end with our motto, it is never too late to go on a bender, especially when you're in the bender bunker. I will see you next time. I'm filming this in fall 2020. We're not out of this craziness quite yet, so please stay healthy, take care of yourselves, ensconce yourself and practice your bender in your bunker, and let's all get through this together. Until next time, I will see you with a brand new lesson. We'll certainly do that before the end of this calendar year, and you know what to do until then. Thanks for watching, and keep it bent.